2016 at 6 p.m. to order. At this time, we'll call on Ms. Susan Mabry for roll call.
Marty Smith.
Here.
Vice Chairman Trent North. Here. Commissioner Vicki Anderson. Here. Commissioner Tommy Lee. Here. Commissioner Michelle Morgan. Here. Commissioner Kevin Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner George Chambers.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, moving through the agenda, we're going to call on Commissioner George Chambers to open us up with a word of invocation, followed by Ms. Vicki Anderson with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your heads with me. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you thanking you for everything that you've done for us and all that you're going to do for us, Lord. And we just thank you that we have an opportunity, Lord, to meet and deliberate and to discuss the business of Carroll County, Lord, to try to make it a better place. And Lord, I just pray that the things that we say and do will be pleasing in thy sight and be in accordance with thy will. And Lord, I just say a special prayer now that you might see fit, Lord, in your time to send us the rain that we need to refresh your earth, Lord, that we might be better caretakers of it through the rainfall that you send us. And Lord, as always pause and say thank you and give honor and praise to our men and women who are fighting for our freedoms, Lord, both here and abroad. And Lord, I just ask these prayers in your precious Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would you stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time we'll move to item on the agenda, item number 5, approval of tonight's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to remove 8.5 GMAS contract extension from the consent agenda and just to place it on the regular meeting agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. We'll move GMAS 8.5 under the business session. It will now become item 10.3. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we'll be looking for the approval of the minutes from the work session minutes of June 2nd, 2016.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the public comments. The rules for public comments. The public comments portion of this meeting is reserved for comments from the public. There were sign-up sheets in the back, in the rear of the room, and we'll take those comments in order. Remarks of each speaker may be up to 3 minutes long. The purpose of public comments is to allow you, the public, to voice county-related requests, concerns, or opinions. We welcome and appreciate the opportunity to hear your comments and suggestions. However, be advised that most issues require much research, and most of them will not be able to respond to your inquiry right now. With your name and address and everything that you put on there, we'll either have somebody contact you or we'll have somebody assigned to you tonight before you leave if you stay for the meeting to see afterwards. At this time, call on Miss Donna Fuller. Please state your name and address. Hang on, ma'am.
Here at the county level, this is where the grassroots of democracy lives. Let's not be limited by the fear of the outcome at the polls. Just let us vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gail Stanifer.
My name's Gail Standifer. I live in the city limits of Carrollton in Mill Pond subdivision. My concern this evening is the recent property tax notices that was received by all county residents. And the information that we received in the mail, which is also still identified on the county tax website, states that the field reviews were required by Georgia law to be conducted every 3 or 4 years to ensure that property descriptions, constructions, and any amenities are properly recorded on that property. My concern is, where does it state that every property would be reassessed for value if none of those things had changed to that property? It also stated in that notice that if a resident was at home, the appraiser would contact the owner, meet with them, ask them if they had any changes, and then do an exterior appraisal on the property. If the owner was not at home, it stated that they would leave a door tag on the door and would do an exterior appraisal. I personally received neither one of those things, and I know from talking to many Carroll County residents, specifically in my neighborhood of Mill Pond, I have not found one person that received a door tag and or spoke to an appraiser. And I know I work in the Carroll City school system. I'm off in the summertime. They were in our property in July of last year. I saw the person riding up and down the road, but he never stopped. I never saw him get out of his vehicle. And I don't think that's fair to the residents when it's not conducted in the manner that it was described. My last thing is the uniformity of the values. Everything in my section in Mill Pond increased anywhere from 23 to 35%. We have homes that are at 1,100 square feet being valued more than homes that are at 3,100 square feet. Same acreage, no extra amenities on that property. So I'm very concerned that there was no uniformity in how these values were established. I don't know at what point the county will address this issue for an overall Carroll County reasoning, but I feel something needs to be done for the entire county regarding this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, John Denny.
My name is John Denny. I live at 2345 Hayes Mill Road in Carrollton. I'm here to address, is that everything you need from me? Yeah. I'm here to address the issue of the referendum on package sales, malt and wine sales on Sunday. I have absolutely no financial interest in this issue in any way other than that every citizen of the county has for the economic benefit of this county. I do not even remember the last time I have bought an alcoholic beverage on Sunday, but I do occasionally eat out at restaurants such as O'Charley's, Applebee's, and so forth. I would say to those that are here in opposition to this vote that if this board took as restrictive a stand as they are asking, or if the cities took as restrictive a stand as you're asking this board to take, those restaurants would not be here today. I would remind, being a Southern Protestant, I would remind you that the entire Protestant Revolution was centered around Martin Luther arguing against the church leaders deciding what people should and should not believe. I would also say, do you really think that it would in any way change the number of alcohol abusers if people had to buy if people bought their alcohol on outside the city limits rather than inside the city limits. And to those of you who have been elected to represent Carroll County citizens, are you willing to take the position that you trust the citizens to select you to represent them, but you do not trust them to make the decision of whether or not to allow this vote to move forward, even though they could buy alcohol on Sunday in the city? I would also say, are you willing to increase property taxes and at the same time forego even allowing the citizens to choose whether or not this source of tax revenue is available to help our economy, our county? As one who believes deeply in freedom and a democratic system of government, it is difficult for me to understand how you would obstruct or consider obstructing the ability of citizens to make this choice for them. And I would urge you to allow the citizens to make that choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is on the list is Kenneth and Wanda Wessinger, but that's variant, so we'll cover that during the zoning. Okay. Next is Mr. Jerry Culver.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come here to speak. My name is Jerry Culver. I live at 565 North Hewlett Road, Villa Rica, Georgia. And I'm here to speak on the Sunday sales question that is before you. Initially, I brought this to your attention in June about the possibility of putting this on a ballot. I've since requested that it be removed, but only because Sherry and I did not want to cause any kind of divisiveness in the county. We respect the will of the county folks, and I just simply wanted to say that if you think there's plenty of opposition to this, put it on the ballot and let people vote. That's all I'm saying. They can vote it up or they can vote it down. And the county people need to have a vote or a say in this. It's not up to you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. The only other name is Joy Key, and that's with a zoning issue too, so we'll take that up there in zoning. That'll close out the public comments. Next item under the agenda is item number 8 is the consent agenda. We'll be looking for a motion for the approval of memorandum of understanding for WYMA Enterprises, revenue applications for the City County Hospital Authority for the benefit of Tanner Medical Center, Sheriff's Office patrol and transportation vehicles, and approved to purchase vehicles for the fire department. And 8.5 has moved. We have a motion, we have a second for the consent agendas. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Okay. I thought you had made the motion, and I thought Tommy had made the second. Did anybody? I'm sorry. Next, we'll be moving into the financial session. Item 9.1, we'll call on Don Johnson, financial recap for 2016.
Yes, Chairman and Board of Commissioners, you have the May 2016 financial statements. Our total revenues at the end of May were $481,629, which represents 85.4% of our total budget. Total expenditures were $42,728,735, which represents 85.9% of our total expenditures. Our health insurance budget was $629,866 at the which, for the budget for May, we had expended $684,992, which was a negative 55,126. For the year, though, we're still ahead by $69,749. Our total cash reserve at the end of May was $9,447,291.
Thank you, Don. Any questions for Don?
Also, at the work session last week, Commissioner Morgan asked for an update as of June 30th. As of today, our total revenue is $46,966,778. Our total expenditures are $46,643,305. We have an excess of revenue over expenditures of $323,473. I still expect the revenue numbers to go up. We're still waiting for some more revenue and reimbursements to come in. And I will have hopefully numbers to make adjustments for workers' comp and health insurance in the next 2 weeks.
And Don, that is reflective shortage on the budget, correct?
That is correct.
By how much?
We're probably looking at another, we could, maybe 60, 70,000 to come back.
To come back, but the revenue was short from the projected budget,
That is
annual
correct.
budget, by how much?
The revenue was short because remember the annual budget was a little over 50 million, so it
Okay.
was about 4 million.
About 4 million
Well,
shortage.
3.1 million short.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Don?
So, wait, that statement just said that we had a $50 million budget, but we've only gotten 46 million in
In-
revenue. Okay,
And expenditures were lower than the revenue, yes.
okay.
Today.
Can't hear him. I'm sorry. So the next step would be, once the final numbers are in, we have how much in contingency?
If what will happen right now will stay increased and contingency will go back up over 9 million.
But it can't go back up unless we move money, and if we've moved money out to be spent. I guess my point is,
Now, fund balance and contingency is different.
I'm aware.
Fund balance, contingency is
Well,
used.
what we budget for every year is a contingency. In the event there's an emergency,
Yes.
we budgeted how much for contingency?
We put $125,000 in contingency.
Okay, so hypothetically, if we are under in revenues, when it's all over and done with, approximately 250,000, then we're gonna have to amend to move money to balance our budget, which helps us to, why not?
Ahead.
So we're,
Revenues are a little
I thought he
ahead
said-
than expenditures for the first time in
Okay.
several
I thought
years.
you had
I'm
it
sorry,
backwards.
Commissioner.
okay.
I thought you said that we were low
Yeah.
too, and
I thought he said we were low.
We're ahead by 323,
Well,
four
When I
73.
did the numbers, it came up ahead, but you said we were low and then said, I'm
Compared
good
to our
then.
budget. We
How,
had a $50 million
he was
budget.
just comparing revenues to our actual budget to
Right.
let you know that there was a shortage this year.
Right.
However, expenditures came in
Came
lower
short.
than the revenue.
Right.
Because
Gotcha.
we've had to put on the brakes.
Gotcha,
There you go.
gotcha.
thank you, Don.
So it'll
Any
be
other
two-
questions?
It'll be 250,000 to the good.
We'll move in financial session, item 9.2. I'll make the motion to table this. The bids did not come in until late this afternoon and have not had an opportunity to discuss.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move into the business session, start with item 10.1, Sunday sales of malt beverages and wine. We'll call on Commissioner Michelle Morgan and interim county attorney if needed.
Yes, this is just a resolution to allow the people to vote yes or no at the November election.
Make a motion to deny.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those opposed to allowing this to the ballot? In favor of?
Can we have some discussion before the vote?
I've asked, yeah, any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to have some discussion. So you want you're making a motion to deny the citizens the right to vote for whether or not they want Sunday sales in Carroll County.
I'm not gonna sit here and grandstand with you. We've
No,
talked about
I'm
this.
asking you a question.
I just made a motion to deny what is before us.
You made a motion to deny the citizens the right to vote on alcohol sales in Carroll County. I just want to make sure I understand that.
Let me make sure you understand this. I'm doing exactly what my constituents would have me to do. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And this will be the third time I've done it, by the way. Third time.
Well,
We have a motion for the consideration of the resolution to be denied. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the denial, please show it by hand. All those opposed to the denial. Thank you.
now, Mr. Chairman, would you make that clear so everybody understands? I think, because sometimes the oppose and the...
Exactly.
It gets a little confusing.
There was a consideration of a resolution to request this to be able to go to ballot. That has been denied and voted on to the board to deny.
I just, all I have to say is that, to explain to the citizens of why we don't approve, can't allow them to vote. So, that's all.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 10.2, appointment of county attorney. I'll make the motion to appoint Stacy Blackman as county attorney.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Item 10.3, now is the GMAS contract extension. We'll call on Gerald Pilgrim.
Commissioners. And just, I guess, Gerald Pilgrim with the county, and then introduce Renee Palmer. If you want to introduce yourself. I'm sure the crowd knows who. We had some confusion last time. We'll make sure everyone here.
I'm Renee Palmer. I'm the chief appraiser for the tax assessor's office.
What you have is the request from the assessor's office regarding the commercial and industrial properties to go through to have an evaluation of those properties to create the database, kind of what was done on the residential side. Unlike the residential side where there was 48,000 pieces of parcels that Renee and her staff, which I see back in the back, are going through, cleaning up, making the corrections to it. This is for 3,800 commercial and industrial parcels. So it should be, it's going to be a little bit more manageable. It's not going to be a massive amount of properties coming at one time. It is complex properties. And I think, but it's one of those things where the assessor's office, and I think Ms. Palmer's agreed that Commissioner Morgan mentioned about having a better education period of what's going to be happening, what's going to be happening to the businesses. Before anyone goes out there, I think everybody's going to make every effort to make that work out. Have them be able to be responsive, getting in touch with Ms. Palmer and the assessor's office, on there. So you have that, and if there's some questions that y'all have.
Make a motion to approve.
If the commissioner from the District of 5 is willing to make a motion to approve that, I'd be honored to second it.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
How long do you think this will take to finish up, Renee?
I think the contract you said was like a year, wasn't it?
How much?
They believe.
It'll finish up with next year's digest.
Oh, okay.
And they're
So,
hoping that this way, this year, unfortunately, the timing on it came in where they didn't get the numbers until the end of June. I
Right.
think everyone's goal is to have those numbers to Renee by the 1st of May, so.
okay.
We can get
We
back
should
on
be
cycle
ahead of
and get
schedule next year with
early
this.
schedule.
Okay.
Renee, can we educate our people that own commercial property to be aware that this is coming? We don't
Sure.
want it to hit the individuals like it did this year.
And to go on record, Commissioner Morgan had also asked that they give a report and come, so I think we've got that
We're gonna be doing that
on the next work session.
They're gonna come in and they'll be glad to talk about it, how the process is gonna work for that, so.
Good.
We're excited about it.
And let them know the
You know, y'all
initiative
vote
by
on it, and
Kevin.
we're excited.
Can, Mr. Chairman, the reason I took it off the consent agenda, because I'd gotten, you know, there's several issues around town and people and their property taxes, and before we extended the contract of the ones who did the residential, I felt like maybe we needed to get them back in and ask them, just ask a few questions, and I thought that's a fair thing to do. Because of all the issues and emails and things that have come today as far as people having concerns about their property, the size, the whatever, that I don't know what's legit or what's not, but I think it's fair for us to ask for the additional information, if that's.
And I think that's something that the process right now, where I think that's what, where the appeals and other questions and people have, where Renee's office, that's what they're handling and fielding right now. Kind of give you an aside of the company is made up of former chief appraisers from throughout the state. Also, in addition to that, the gentleman that created WinGap, which is what the Department of Revenue uses, kind of their
It's our computer system. It's our software system.
he is actually one of the principals of the company. So he is now a private individual. So by standards, I mean, there are going to be 48,000 parcels. There are going to be some errors. And that's what Ms. Palmer's job is. You know, they're going to clean those errors up and make sure that everything is looked at. I think with the 3,800, they've done a quality job at overall with my house, which, you know, I don't like the value of my house, but I can't really dispute it because my neighbors sold for about the same. But I think we're going to see some changes. We're going to see some change in values. They may have looked at a piece of property a different way. I think those are going to happen. And I think that's what the appeals process is.
Will we, is this the same company that did the residential that we approved for that?
They'll be their commercial appraisers.
Okay, well then, we have had issues with people going to appeals and being concerned with things, and all I ask is that we get the company to ask them what their process is, so everybody knows it, and then there won't be any questions, you know, if we clarify that. You know, I
And
think.
you can do that, Renee, and have them in and, yeah.
To
Now, I
your
wanna-
work session, is that what
I
you're
have
asking?
questions too. Go ahead.
Now, I was gonna add one more thing. I saw the contract, and for the amount of money we pay in, it is okay to expect a higher percent of accuracy. And so, I'm not saying they did a good job, but we've gotta go into it thinking that there's gonna be minimal assistance on our end, because we pay pretty good money.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm just saying, because we don't want to justify who they are or what they do.
Sure.
They enter into a contract, and what we don't want to do is what the rest of the world does, and give someone a private contract and then reduce the expectation for them. So all I'm saying is, as we move forward, when we approve this, and assuming we do, we don't reduce the expectation. It becomes even greater.
It will increase.
And just to be clear, let's just be clear that this contract, the way it is worded, the way it's there, that if the board is not happy at a certain time, y'all can release them from the contract. So it is not something that, if you go into the contract to begin with, before they started work.
No, I'm not questioning it. All I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, Ms. Anderson is making a very valid point. My good friend from Mill Pond made a very valid point. If we pay you to do a job, and if they're the chief appraisers, and if they know the law, she shouldn't have to spend her time researching to see what should occur. And if those things are required, we've got to hold to it, because sometimes people don't want to pay an increase in taxes regardless. And what we can't do is we can't get caught up in the process. If we know that there's a potential for a property tax increase, we've at least got to do our due diligence. If we're supposed to knock, if we're supposed to hang a sign on the door, if we're supposed to notify, they're going to be upset. But we've at least got to do our part, so they can't be upset about the process. Does that make sense? That's all I'm saying.
And this is a total, with the commercial industrial, it's a total different dynamic. You're not
Right.
gonna be knocking on doors, of course, you're gonna be making
Speaking
appointments to.
Microphone
Oh,
there,
I'm
so
sorry.
everybody can hear.
the commercial and industrial is a total different dynamic. Instead of going house to house, you'll be going to the business, and they'll have to actually, I would think, contact them. I've never been on a.
But they're gonna be
commercial-
upset by something else, 'cause we'll get those calls. I mean, it's okay, it's a part of it.
Well, before we give any money, any more additional monies, I just want us to have all the i's dotted and the t's crossed.
I guess that's my question, Chair. Are they gonna be doing the real property too, or just
Oh,
the
no,
physical outside?
they'll be doing the buildings and the
Everything.
land.
And the
That's-
inside.
That's what they're gonna be doing
Okay,
now.
so with the houses, they just really went outside the houses. Now they're about to actually go into someone's business, and I feel like for the amount of money and the calls that I've had, I would like to see the actual people here in front of us. I don't know if it's gonna be a problem to table this for 30 days, and they come, because they're asking for $278,000, and I would expect, if we are hiring them, they are here in front of us, so that they can understand exactly what we want from them.
Is there any complications with as far as their scheduling, if we did table it till next month, or is it something that over-scheduling that we need to get done now, Renee?
They can make it work. We're just pushing it. Really, this little
I understand.
started in June, and we just keep pushing it a little bit further out. That's the
My-
only thing where,
Well,
you
I
know,
had
like I said,
asked
but that's
them,
one where I think that they could, and again, I just wanna be clear that this is the thing that the Board of Assessors, this is a contractor to the Board of Assessors.
I was fixing to say, I'm not,
So I really have an issue that the contractor is really being hired to do work that the assessor's office does.
Right,
So
we're
I think
paying the
assessor-
money, though.
the
We're
assessors
paying the
really
money.
be answering some of the questions that y'all
Right.
have,
They should be.
I think are not necessarily the contractor questions.
right. Well, my only concern, and I don't mind tabling it, but I don't wanna disrupt, we're close this year, and there's cities waiting, y'all have all heard from them. I don't wanna disrupt, the tax digest next year because we tabled it and waited for a day. I didn't read the entire contract, but it sounds like that there's clauses in there where if they're not satisfying us at any time, we can, but, that's up,
but then
that's
we
up
could
to
go
y'all
to
as far as we
fire 'em.
table it, but I'm just saying, we're pushing it back another month. This is a long process, and I don't wanna look back in a year from now and say, well, if we wouldn't have pushed it back a month.
Could have made a financial
It may-
difference.
yeah,
across
like
the board.
financial difference.
Here's the reality. Technically, we set the timeline. And I know that it could have an impact on what you do in your office. I think the company will do a good job. Having said that, it wouldn't hurt if your board and those who are doing it, because the reality is, y'all aren't getting the telephone calls. You aren't getting the emails. And so if you are, but it's a little different. And if this board has to be the one, the face of it, they should at least feel comfortable before they move forward. And I don't think that's too much to ask for, especially when we're paying somebody. And remember now, I'm a little different. If we're entering into a contract with you, you should be able to come and meet with us on our term. And so I don't think we should be asking if they can come.
Yeah,
The question
Commissioner
should be-
North, they are scheduled for the September, Deputy Clerk just noticed
So
that.
let's just put it on the
Yeah,
next
they are
month's
scheduled
agenda,
for September
and then vote
1st.
on it then, take care of it then. So I withdraw my second, so we can.
You got a motion
I
to
make a
ta-
motion that we table it, and we place it on the September agenda, and that we meet with them and have the board come, and that way we'll all be on the same page before we move forward.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second now. Any discussion? Item will be tabled. They'll present September, move forward.
With the Board of Assessors.
With both.
Absolutely.
Because the Board of Assessors, we are paying for this group, but we are not the Board of Assessors that determines what is to be done, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
so, but we are paying the bill. Okay. So, we need the Board of Assessors present.
Any further
Thank
discussion?
you.
Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
With changing everything, if I've not missed anything, it looks like we'll be moving into the zoning session. If that is correct, we're going to call on Artegas Newell, our zoning administrator, to present.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just very briefly, I'll go into the items for consideration. Number one, whether the zoning proposal will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of adjacent and nearby property. Whether the zoning proposal will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby property. Whether the property to be affected by the zoning proposal has a reasonable economic use as currently zoned. Whether the zoning proposal will result in a use which will or could cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. Whether the zoning proposal is in conformity with the policy and intent of the land use plan, and whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property which give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval of the zoning proposal. Mr. Chairman, the first item we have is consideration of Monique Williams's request for a conditional use permit to keep 2 horses in R1 district. This is at 240 North Highway 113, Carrollton. And Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Call on the applicant. At this time, I'll read the rules real quick. The applicant or proponents of the zoning application shall be allowed 10 minutes to present data, evidence, and opinion. Those opposed to the zoning application shall be allowed 10 minutes also to present data, evidence, and opinion. Both sides shall be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal. Then questions from the board. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Monique Williams. I'm a recent transplant to Carroll County from Cobb County, and so far I've found this to be an incredible place. I'm so happy I've made this decision. My husband and I have recently purchased the property that has been mentioned at at 240 North Highway 113. It's a 25-acre parcel. It is completely fenced and cross-fenced for horses. Horses have previously been on the property. There is a 4-stall barn that is standing on the property. And so our understanding is, however, that the property is zoned residentially. So we are requesting a conditional use permit to allow us to have personal horses. We are not seeking to start any type of business. We do not want to board outside horses. We don't want to run a training facility or anything else. This is strictly animals for our personal use.
Thank you. Anybody else here in favor? We'll ask, is there anyone in opposition? We'll ask a second time, anybody in opposition of this request? Seeing none, we'll open it up for questions from the board or motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just had one question, and I guess I'm not seeing it. What's it currently zoned, Ortegas?
The current zoning, sir, is R1, which is the residential zoning with a 3-acre lot minimum.
Right.
Even though it's the largest, just under agriculture.
I understand.
It still restricts livestock.
Right. I was just curious, why didn't you change it back to agricultural? There's 25 acres there.
My concern, sir, was not being familiar with this area. My concern was that a neighbor would potentially be concerned that I would want to come in with a pig farm or something that they would not want to be neighbors with. Our preference actually would have been to rezone it agricultural, but I was concerned that that would be a more difficult route.
Well, when you do this, you're asking for a conditional use, one use, which is to put horses. Did you put multiple horses or one horse, or what was in? 2 horses? If you buy a 3rd horse, I mean, you're in compliant. If you put a cow out there, you're in compliant. You see what I'm saying?
No,
I mean, I just have a real
understand.
concern that, you know, you may want a whole lot more down the road. I mean, this is for 2 horses and that's it. And so I was just curious why you just didn't turn it back to agriculture and you'd have been open to all. But I see what you're
It was
saying.
really out of consideration for the neighbors. I grew up in Amarillo, Texas, on a 20,000 acre
Yeah.
working cattle ranch, and we had a feedlot right next door. And I know that many neighbors
Right.
would be very much opposed to the idea of unknown agricultural coming in. So our thought process moving here was strictly, let's ask for permission to have our horses, and we can move from there.
Would you like for it to be that? Because we have the authority to go up, we can't go down.
I would absolutely love to have the property rezoned agricultural.
I don't know that we can do that without proper advertisement. I mean, wouldn't we have to repost something?
You cannot, yeah. You would have to,
You'd have to go through the whole process again.
I
One
apologize.
thing we
We've done
can,
it before in the past.
one thing we can do is, I mean, if somebody wanted to raise the number of horses, you can certainly say you can have 3 or 4. On a conditional, we can change any of that we'd like.
my question would be to the applicant, is 2 adequate for what you want to do?
I could potentially see down the road wanting to have potentially a few more horses. But again, this is just my husband and I, so this is not something that we're looking to have a herd of 10. You know, we have no commercial interest. I don't have any interest in buying and selling and that type of thing.
I really wish you would
Ms.
have.
Mabry,
I really wish you would have applied for agriculture.
in the past, how did we take a zoning like this and increase it from what the person was requesting? We've done that not once, not twice.
You have done that. It's been a while, but you have
Yeah.
done that.
Well, we were always told, going all the way back from David Mecklin all the way up, that when the zoning comes, that you can always increase the restriction, but you can't decrease it. Making her property all agriculture would increase the restriction, which is greater and more severe. And so they've always, but I'm good. I wouldn't go with the 3 or 4.
If I thought we could do that, I would certainly make a motion to, but I'm gonna defer to our county attorney, and I don't think.
I'm with
we
you, I'm
can.
good with it.
Can
I don't-
you have a 4-stall barn?
Yes, sir.
Did you request 4 horses? Can we change it?
Yeah,
You can change the requested number, satisfy that tonight, knowing that she can come back for agriculture she'd like. Yeah,
You could always come back if you.
I think the county attorney has a comment.
Shoot, Tom.
I don't think you can rezone it to agriculture without the proper advertisement
Gotcha.
Right.
procedure.
Thank you. Okay.
Shoot, I'd throw a chicken in there too, Tom, and just
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further
How many?
4.
4?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is consideration of Kenneth and Wanda Wessinger's request for a conditional use permit and variance to divide a 5.31 acre agricultural zone tract into 2 parcels. This is located at 250 North Jonesville Road, Bowden. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
All right, we'll call on the applicants.
Hi, I'm Wanda Wessinger. My husband and I just want to build a house on the property. There's an existing house that we're purchasing with our daughter, and we want to put an additional house on the property. And there's plenty of space. It's in a neighborhood where there's a lot of houses.
Anyone else here in favor of this? Okay, the husband, we got there. I'll ask at this time, you're well under your 10 minutes. Is anyone in the audience here in opposition of this request for conditional use? Second request, anybody in opposition of this conditional use? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion from the board.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ortegas?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The next item we have is consideration of Tommy House's request for a conditional use permit and variance to operate a tire shop and car lot in an R3 zone parcel. This is at 2231 Highway 16 North Weisburg. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Ortegas. We'll call on the applicants.
Hello, my name's Tommy House, and I've lived in Carroll County for 35 years now. There's some people here tonight that, you know, say I'm not a resident or hadn't been a resident of Carroll County all my life, but I've been here a long time. What I'm asking for is a conditional use for property. It's on Highway 16. It's a piece of property that was for sale for many years. It was on residential many years ago, but nobody's ever done anything with it and been able to do anything with it. I went back 6, 7 months ago and purchased this piece of property, wanting to do something for myself, and I live right across the road from where this property's at. One person that was able to come to our other meeting was the people that live right across the street, Mary Pritchett. Wonderful person, all for this, knows me very well. You know, we've lived there for 20 years. I was really shocked when I got this, and I was just going to ask. I don't know who it came from or whatever, but this was put in my mailbox, and you know, it makes it look that like it was somebody on the board, but I don't believe that anybody on the board would do anything like this. But what they put out is not true. It's not true by far. And any people that would sign a petition on that and what they're saying, that's shouldn't be said, shouldn't be signed. I have not went trying to get petitions signed. I've been upfront and honest with everybody from day one on what I wanted to do. We're going to make this very nice, a very good-looking thing. Dollar General is the one that really sort of got me looking at this, because they're in the county. You know, they're building things outside the city that has done very well. That's what I'm trying to do. We have everything here as far as plans, the zoning. I've had the driveways approved. You know, everything has been done. I think in the right way. I hope in the right way to make everybody happy. The people that would have anything to say about it, you know, from the last meeting, they were talking about the accidents on Highway 16. Well, there are a lot of accidents the other way. It's in a little curve down here where you turn to go to Banning Lake or Banning Resort. There are some bad accidents there. That's not where I'm talking about this, where we're going to be. And that's one thing they brought out and say in the last meeting, but it's not true. Where I'm at, very straight, accessible entrance there that the DOT has agreed to give us an entrance for. And, you know, we've had a lot of people that are really in favor of this. We want to help the people of the community, you know, and that's all we want to do. I don't know if there's anything that y'all would want me to do any different than what I've already done. We've waited a long time to finally get here tonight for this meeting. I don't have anything to hide. You know, I live right across the street. This is going to be a very nice facility, and I hope y'all approve it.
Thank you. Mr. House, is there anybody here representing in favor of this application
There are some more people here in favor of this application.
that would like to speak?
No.
Okay. Okay. At this time, we'll call on, is there anybody that is opposed to this conditional use permit? At this time, feel free. We have 10 total allotted minutes, so make your time up. Name, address, and
Mr. Chairman, Board, my name is Joey Key. I live at 362 Hardy Road, Whitesburg. And And I do have a petition signed by 27 people that feels like that it's not safe coming in from Whitesburg. Coming from Whitesburg, people are flying down that road. You got very little bit of visibility. And yes, in May of 2015, there was a death right there at the intersection where Mr. House wants to put this. Coming from Whitesburg, the people fly, they don't slow down. It's just not a safe, conducive place for business. The residents and thing, excuse me, I got the bad cotton mouth today. It's just not a safe place because you have very limited visibility. When you top that hill, you cannot see. And all the truckers are trying to build up speed to get up the next two hills. It's just not a safe, conducive place for that. If you, with Jackie Phillips that lost his life there in 2015, right there where he's planning to put the tire shop. So with your consideration, it's just, people in and around that area, a lot of us do not think it's a safe place for additional business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition?
Good evening, Council. My name is Curtin Nicholson. I live at 25 Aegean Way in Stillwater's Plantation. And I've been asked by several of our members in our subdivision to be a spokesman for them. And we don't have a problem with Mr. House. We don't have a problem with his tire shop. We don't have a problem with what he's doing. Our problem is the land being zoned commercial. That's our main problem. Because once you zone a land commercial, then it's a lot easier to zone another tract commercial that's adjacent to it, and much easier to zone another tract commercial. It kind of becomes like a domino effect. And right now, the land around Stillwater's Plantation is not zone commercial, and that's the main reason most of us moved out there. We wanted a rural area to live in. A lot of people built their homes out there because they saw there was a rural area. People built their retirement homes hoping to retire in a rural area. It's a place we just wanted to get away from it all. We didn't want the commercialism anymore. We lived in cities. We just wanted a place that after the hustle and bustle of our lives, we can go home and just get away from it all. My wife and I, we moved out there. To us, it was a perfect location. We had Carrollton in one direction, we had Noonan in the other direction, and we had even Douglasville. So we could go to Carrollton, we could go to Noonan, we could go to Douglasville, shop whatever we want. But at the end of the day, we could come back to our nice little rural area in Stillwaters. When you ride from Carrollton towards Noonan, you notice that once you get close to Stillwaters, you don't see commercialism, you see farms, you see residential areas. You see it's a place where people live. It's like a place where life just slows down, and that's what we want. We want to keep our life as nice and simple as we can and enjoy it. So if you allow this tract to become rezoned as commercial, it's a bad situation for us because you're putting in exactly what we moved away from, is the commercialism of it. And we aren't trying to deprive Mr. House of building his business. I hope he can build his business. We just want it to be built in a place that's already zoned commercial. And there's plenty of places around there. We would just like for him, because he's only asking for 3 acres, we would prefer he find 3 acres somewhere else. The last time the council voted on this, it took 4 motions, or 4 requests to get a motion. So we hope if you ask for a motion today, please don't give the motion. Let us keep our rural area. Don't take it away from us, because that's the reason we all moved there, because of the rural area. And right now, I'd like my wife to say something.
Hey, I'm Diane Nicholson, and I'm Kurt Nicholson's wife. I live at 25 Aegean Way. I agree with everything Kurt said. I'm also opposed to it, but as I was listening to Mr. House and Kurt about the safety issues, I'm thinking buses use that Highway 16 to and from Whitesburg, from Central, and once again, going 65 miles an hour, which some people do, and 55 miles an hour, buses are in grave danger during that process. So once again, we take this into consideration. I think there's a few other people who'd like to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing, the traffic issue, if it goes commercial and his business does thrive, it's going to make traffic a lot worse. Coming from Noonan to towards Carrollton, it's not that hard because we have a turn-in lane. But when you're going from Carrollton towards Noonan to turn into Stillwaters, it gets pretty scary because I've had cars swerve off the road because they're just not expecting you to stop. They're not paying attention or whatever. And my understanding is there was a fatality up on that hill, and I would like to call Mr. Burrell at this point. He has some traffic information.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Mike Burrell, and I live at 165 Long Island Drive, Whitesboro. And my concern is the safety. I've done a test on the roadway, and from the top of the hill, coming from Whitesboro, you can't see over the hill, one thing. Another thing, it takes 7 seconds to get to the middle of his property. And another thing, I've looked up on the Georgia State Patrol, 18-wheelers at 55 miles an hour takes 10 to 12 seconds to stop. That means if somebody's coming from the opposite direction and they turn in the driveway, if they don't get in fast enough and a tractor trailer is coming over that hill, somebody's gonna get hit or killed at that intersection because that tractor trailer won't be able to stop. So that's the only two things I have, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition?
My name is Michelle Nicholson, and I live at 35 Guthrie Road, so we're feet away from where the tire shop would be built. I do have a concern for the road safety. It is hard to see when you come over that hill. I live on Guthrie Road, so this is going to be several feet away from where their driveway would be, but there's people constantly slamming on their brakes behind me when I need to turn into Guthrie Road because they can't see until they top that hill. We constantly hear transfer trucks hit their Jake brakes because they top that hill and realize there's people slowing down to turn in. And we were a witness to that deadly crash that happened, and it was awful. So that's the main concern for me. Another concern is we have 3 acres, and we bought those 3 acres for horses. So I'm concerned about noise level, traffic coming in and out of it, how it'll affect the safety of us riding and using our property for horses. I don't know if there's conditions for that of what they could do so we couldn't see it, or it would block noises where the horses wouldn't be distracted by that when we're riding. And then, of course, just business security too, how they're going to keep it secure since we live right next to it. But mainly just horses and riding and the safety of the cars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Got about 1 minute and 15 left. Seeing none, we'll start over. We'll have 5 minutes, Mr. House, of rebuttal.
There's been several things said here tonight about the traffic and the accidents on Highway 16. There's been one accident right there where I'm talking about this house was going to be, where a man had a heart attack and run out in the road. He did. You know, he lived right over behind me over there. But if you go on down Highway 16 in that curve where the road turns off, that's where all the accidents are. Highway 16 is a busy highway. That's the only reason I'm considering this. It's got more traffic than Highway 27. And I don't know if you're going 4-lane. Hopefully someday we might. But what I'm doing is not got anything to do with traffic flow or stopping anybody or hurting anybody. If everybody's going 55 like they're supposed to, there shouldn't be a problem in stopping right there. The people that are against this, and I forgot to give y'all a copy of this a while ago, I think we're all influenced by the people that wrote this letter. Can I give this to somebody?
I shared it with them.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, they've had some meetings down there in Stillwater, but I've got people here tonight that are with me that live in Stillwater. There's people everywhere that might have a difference of opinion. I live in the county, all right? And what I'm doing, or what I would like to do, is only going to benefit the people of the county and the people of the surrounding area. I'm not trying to hurt anybody by what I'm doing. Definitely not trying to hurt horses or anything. There's a farm out across the street, 100-something acres. But in everything that was brought up and said, I really think is misleading to the whole outcome of this. Where we're talking about, the DOT has already been out and looked at it. They have already told us what we would have to do. They're the ones that wanted us to go down and use the second driveway so it wouldn't be on top of that hill. I've tried to do everything I could to do this the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in rebuttal? If not, we'll ask anybody in opposition their 5 minutes for rebuttal.
My name is C.W. Pelt. I live at Stillwater's Plantation, 44 Caspian Court. Times I've lived here, I've seen many accidents on that road in that exact same spot discussed. If you're familiar with this area, you know where it's at. You know how busy. He himself said this is busier than 27 itself. And it's just a 2-lane road. You want people to die? No. We don't want to change this residential into a commercial. You said yourself, it's hard to go back once you change it. Didn't you say that just a moment ago?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We don't want that. We are the citizens. We're saying no. This is residential. Keep it that way. We live here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Diane Nicholson again, and I have something to say. We never saw that petition. Never saw that petition. We never signed the petition. We have no idea what it says. But I would like to have Stillwater's Plantation, who is sitting behind me, if you would please stand if you are opposed to this situation we are in. This is only part because this is open house night for a lot of young families, and they should be there, as you probably should be there. So this is just a partial. All these people would come forward if necessary to give their names and addresses, but we don't think it's necessary because we are in fear of where we live, where we want to retire. And I have been here for 35 years and taught in Carroll County schools for 30 years. So I know the situation, I know the hazards on this road. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else in opposition under rebuttal? Got about 2 minutes left. Seeing none, we'll close out the time. We'll look for a motion from the board.
I make a motion to approve
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion?
Well, I did want to address a few things on a little bit of miscommunication and maybe some additions to the conditional use. For those of you that are concerned, and I spoke with some of you about this being zoned commercial. Let me get this straight, and he will concur. My first question was whether this was going to be commercial zoning. And had it been a request for rezoning, my answer would have been no, as far as my vote on the board. In my 8 years, I don't think I've approved one commercial zoning in District 5. I've fought very hard for the rural areas. So it's not commercial. He's asking for a conditional use permit, which means he can do these particular activities on that property. And that's what we're listing, exactly what he's asked for. If his it stays with the property, but if the business fails, then the next person that were to buy it would have to operate under these same conditions, which would be a small car lot and a mechanic shop. So it's not a commercial zone. They can't come in there and open a can factory or anything else like that. Let me get that out of the way. I do have a concern, and I have spoke with Ms. Nicholson about her concerns because she is right next door. And what I've asked the applicant to do was to put a minimum of Leland cypress up that side of the property, a minimum of 2 rows. But I want it to state that it's adequate to block the view of the place, and that will be up the side of Guthrie Road. Right. Right, the Guthrie, not in the right-of-way, but on his property. So a minimum of 2 rows, which shall be maintained the entire length of the permit to block the view. You know, I looked at this no.
You're making a motion to amend adding this stipulation.
No, yeah, well, I can go back and do that.
Okay.
But, amend my motion. But I looked at this hard. I live in Bannon, and I drive 16 every day, sometime today, twice a day. So I'm up and down through there. The traffic issues I look very hard at because I travel that road, like I said, sometimes twice a day. I mean, Guthrie Road's right there. It's a county road that's closer to the top of that hill than it is what this drive's going to be. And to be honest with you, DOT has given them the green light, and so entering and exiting Highway 16 is really none of our concern. That's between him and the Department of Transportation of Georgia. So we really legally could not stop his permit from over traffic entering Highway 16. We could not. And as far as Stillwater goes, you guys, that subdivision's been down there quite a while. But I'll tell you, I've been a long-time resident of Whitesburg, and I'm sure some of you weren't there when it was built, but when that group petitioned this board about Stillwater Plantation, there was an uproar in the whole community. So be careful, it was a complete uproar. There was a room full of people who did not want that subdivision in there. There was an uproar the second time when they put an extension on the back of it on Lake Sea, another uproar. So, I just cannot come to myself to see how this is going to affect anybody's quality of life, possibly except for this couple over here who's right next door. So with that motion, I want to add.
We've made comments.
With that motion, I do want to add the buffer. I do want to add a minimum of 25 cars for sale. A maximum of 25 cars for sale. No mechanic work after, what did we say, 8 o'clock, I think. No mechanic work after 8 o'clock. All vehicles that are not going to be worked on that day must be moved to the back of the building for overnight. And I believe that was all stipulations that I came up with.
Do we have those recorded, Art? And Art, I'll ask you for clarification, if you read back the motion with the stipulations?
Repeat what we
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have in my notes, a minimum of 2 rows of Leland cypress trees along the Guthrie Road right-of-way. A maximum of 25 cars at the property at any given time. No mechanic work past 8 p.m. and vehicles must be moved to the back of the building at night that have been worked on. Did I get it?
Vehicles must be moved to the back at night if they're gonna stay overnight.
Yes, sir.
Only customers' vehicles out front. No, in other words, no, junk cars out front, anything like
Outside,
that.
yes, sir.
And, beyond the 2 rows of Leland cypress, if it takes more than, I don't know how you put that in the language, it must have no visibility, right, and that has to be maintained the length of the
Yes, sir.
condition.
I'll just briefly mention to the board as well that since this property is along Highway 16, it would be subject to the corridor development overlay district requirements.
That's correct.
So I'll have this in addition to what that requirement is, and whatever would be the greater requirement, certainly will add that. And I've made myself to email the surveyor in the morning so that he'll have that in his notes as well.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right, we need a second to amend that motion.
Second.
We have a second. Now, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Calling Ortegas for item 11-4.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The next item we have is consideration of Benny and Gwen Gunnell's request for a conditional use permit and variance to divide 2 acres with an existing house from an 8.95 acre parcel at 335 Gum Creek Road, Rookville. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Once again, we'll call on the applicants.
My name is Gwen Gunnels, and this is my husband Benny. We live at 335 Gum Creek Road in Rookville, Georgia. We're asking for a variance to deed 2 acres of land that our home is on off of the 8.95 acres that we have.
We're asking to divide here. Anybody else in favor of this that's representing you tonight?
No, sir.
Don't think we'll have to worry about using those 10 minutes. We'll ask for items 11-4. Anyone here representing the opposition? We'll ask a second time. Anyone for 11.4? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, we'll take a recommendation from the board.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is consideration of owner and applicant Honor House LLC in West Carroll, Georgia's request for a conditional use permit to operate a residential boys treatment and educational facility at 2385 Oak Grove Church Road. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
We'll call on the applicants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Steve Hornsby. I am Senior Vice President for West Care Foundation, and our business office address in Atlanta is 827 Pryor Avenue, 30315. And I have a handout. I know y'all have received some information, and what would be the best way to do this? Just pass it up to the board?
Yes.
Start one of I'm gonna do my best. Sometimes it's hard for me to say good evening in 10 minutes, but I'm gonna do the best that I can. Let me start off by saying, though, that as a former county official from my home county over in West Tennessee, thank you for your public service. A lot of people would think that you're in this for the big money that you're making. I know differently. There's a lot of effort, a lot of thankless nights that you get to spend here, and thank you for what you do. I appreciate your dedication to your community. We want to join your community in what you're doing and being part of the solution, not just sitting on the sidelines and looking at the problem. Let me start off talking a little bit about the WestCare Foundation, what WestCare is and what we do. WestCare is 43 years old. We are a national nonprofit. In fact, we go all the way from Guam and the Pacific Islands, across the United States through 19 states, all the way down to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and even into now the Dominican Republic. Our largest scope of work involves addiction treatment services, but we do other things as well. And within that scope of work for addiction treatment, we treat a variety of populations. We treat girls, we treat boys, we treat women and their children. Women that are overcoming an addiction problem can come and live in some of our facilities and bring their children with them while they're getting healed, which allows us to work not only with them but also with their children. We serve veterans, and we do a variety of these type of services across the country. We're in 160 locations for our entire presence, and wherever we are, we're a valuable member of the community, and the reason we are is because we're intentional about that from the very beginning. When we go into a community, we want to be good neighbors, and that's how we govern ourselves accordingly from the time that we go in through the life of our program there. We are asking to put in an addiction treatment center at the location of what's called kind of the old boys home at this location on Oak Grove Church Road. I think it was built somewhere around 2004, 2005. It was not successful for whatever reason, and it's been vacant for some time. It's a wonderful opportunity for us. I don't know if any of y'all have been impacted or had family members impacted by the epidemic of addiction that we have going on in this country now. It truly is at epidemic levels. Just recently, our dysfunctional federal government was able to agree on something, and what they agreed on is that we need more addiction recovery programs and services in this country than we've ever needed before, and the Congress and the President agreed on that, and it's now passed into law, the Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act. And that's part of the solution, and that's what WestCare does. We want to be part of that solution as well. What I want y'all to understand tonight is what this program is and what it is not. What it is an addiction treatment recovery center for boys ages 14 to 17. That's funded by the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disabilities. What it is not a juvenile rehabilitation center. It is not a juvenile detention center. It is not some other type of program for wayward youth. The children that come here, the boys that are age 14 to 17, number one, have to be referred by a counselor, school counselor, family member, pastor, youth minister, whoever it may be. But they have to come voluntarily. They have to be seeking treatment and acknowledge the fact that they want to get their life back on track and get this straightened out while they are teenagers. They cannot be court ordered. We will not accept them if they're ordered from a court. They cannot be coming through the juvenile justice system. They have to be coming voluntarily and willingly. For those of you that may be familiar with the recovery and treatment process, you know, I was a county judge over in West Tennessee for 13 years and then went on into state government under our previous governor in Tennessee. And what I can tell you is this, the old adage about you can bring a horse to water but you can't make him drink. You can put somebody in treatment. I did it as a judge. I can tell you that I did it. The vast majority of the time it doesn't work unless they're willing. They have to be willing to do it. So when young men are referred to our program, they come in, we interview them, we receive a packet of information including a psychological evaluation, and letters of reference, and if there's any, another clinician treating them, we get all that information. We control our front door. We don't have to take anybody that's sent to us. We accept people into our program. And if they're accepted in, then we meet with them and we counsel them and make sure that this is really what they want to do and that they really want to be here. And we tell them, if you don't want to be here, if you get into the program and decide you don't want to be here, we're going to try to talk you out of it because we think you do need to be here or else we wouldn't have taken you in. But if you really insist on going, you don't have to run off. We'll make transportation arrangements for you. We'll call your parents, we'll call your caregiver, we'll make transportation arrangements so they don't have to run off. They are there voluntarily, and if they don't want to be there, they're not a good fit for our program, and we'll make arrangements for them to leave. They have to have a primary diagnosis of a substance use disorder, which means they are not seriously emotionally ill. They don't have a serious emotional disorder. They have to be coming there for addiction treatment services. They cannot have a history of violence or aggressive behavior, and they, as I said earlier, they cannot be referred, or they can be referred by the court system, but they cannot be court ordered to come there. Now, having said all of that, I know that there are folks in the community that are going to be concerned about, well, what about these youngsters being there? You can't control them all the time. What if they escape and get out? Well, we're going to have electronic measures in place to eliminate that and prevent that as much as we possibly can. We call it an electronic fence. There's going to be high-resolution cameras all around the facility, monitored 24/7. There's going to be laser motion detectors all around the building and the property itself. There's going to be alarms on the doors. There's going to be a delayed egress system on the door so that if a youngster runs up to the door and thinks he wants to run out, when he hits it, an alarm goes off and it's delayed for 30 seconds before he can actually get out. It gives our staff time to get to him. We'll have more than enough staff there to monitor them 24/7. And as I said, there really is no need for them to even try to escape. It's not really escaping from anything. What I'd like to do is point out to you on the handout, there's a blue box on page 4, I believe it is here. And these are what I believe to be the benefits of WestCare coming to Carroll County.
And we're at 8 minutes.
Sir?
We're at 8 minutes.
Thank you. We will create a local community advisory board, which is what we do wherever we go, that will be local residents and officials. We will recruit and hire locally for our entire staff, including the program director, clinical advisor, teacher, counselors, case managers. We will have an annual payroll of about $1 million with 40 employees. We will maintain a perpetual scholarship for a Carroll County student that needs our services, a bed that will be reserved for a student, a boy in Carroll County that needs addiction treatment at no charge to the young man or his family. We had concerns about from Superintendent Cowart at the school system. We met with him last week, addressed all of his concerns. We will operate our own internal school. The students will not be in public school. He now has no objection to that, and I met with Sheriff Terry Langley last Wednesday, and he'll be happy to have us in the community. He has no objection as well.
1 minute.
Thank you. And
Yes, sir.
I would like now, real quick, let me just ask for a show of hands. I know we've got some supporters here. If y'all are in favor, would y'all mind just raising your hand? Thank you very much. So, after saying all this, I've tried to convince you who we are. You don't have to take our word for it. In the handout today is a packet of letters of support from Stone Mountain when we were there, and even including the chief of police, the Stone Mountain Civic Club, and they said we're good neighbors. We do what we say we'll do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's actually the 10 minutes. We will. We will open the floor for the minutes. Is there anyone in opposition? You'll come to the podium, state name and address.
My name is James Polk. I live at 2370 Oak Grove Church Road. It's right across the street from the place. We met up there yesterday, and we've had about a year and a half of peace on that street. When the boys' home went in, we had nothing but problems. We would sit there on the porch. You could see the cops going up and down that driveway almost all the time. And it's great that they're not going to be in our school system because the school system had nothing but problems. But I met with the gentleman. Everyone that raised their hand, no one lives around there. If you go out the back of the building, you could actually throw a rock and hit a house back behind it. I asked the chief of his security staff, if this goes in, would he actually put in a fence? If he wanted to make me feel safe, wanted the people around there to feel safe, put a fence. There's no fence around this place at all. And he said they were going to put lasers and all this. But that doesn't deter people from going up there. It doesn't deter, really, to my taste, people getting out. As they were always going out, coming down that drive. We have a pond in our yard. They would go down there to the pond. They would actually meet down there at the road, somebody would pick them up, and the kids would go. So I asked, fine, if you want me to feel safe, put up a 10-foot fence around the property so you can see it. You know it's there, and it's actually a deterrent to keep people out and to keep the kids in. So that's what I ask if you do approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Still time on the floor. Anyone else here in opposition of this request? Seeing none, we'll open up the time for rebuttal. We got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I won't take long. I hope in the handout that I gave you at the very last page is the result of the meeting that we held out there last night with the community members. All of the neighbors were invited. We had 8 folks show up, and Mr. Pope was there, and we talked with him. You know, and everybody, I think, by the time everybody left, there were a few folks that were still not very satisfied, but most of them, I think, had come around, and we talked with them and told them what we did. Several of the ladies from the Methodist Church actually agreed to maybe come volunteer and do a garden, to work with our boys out there and teach them how to be master gardeners. But these are the things that we came up with. Commissioner Morgan was out there as well, and she said, I'd like to see y'all work these things out, so we did, and we reached some agreements. And I'll just let you review that. It's kind of the same thing that I've talked about. Going to Mr. Polk's point about a fence, y'all, this is not a detention center. It's a treatment center. I don't want those kids, you wouldn't want your kids or your grandkids to feel like that they're coming to someplace to be incarcerated, because they're not those kind of kids, and they're not there to be incarcerated. They're there to get treatment and get their lives straightened out. I understand what he's talking about. We're going to do the very best that we can to keep those kids in the program, and I think we will be very successful with it. I don't know the prior operator. I can't speak to what they did or how they ran their operation out there, but I'll tell you this, they weren't successful, and they're not there anymore. WestCare is successful. We're in 160 places around the country, as I said, and we know what it means to be good neighbors and good community members, and we've researched your community. You have a lot of wonderful things going on. We don't want to take away from that. We want to add to it. Is there anybody that would like to say anything in rebuttal here? We've probably got a couple of minutes left.
My name is Anita Buffington, and I reside at 8520 Campbellton Street, Douglasville, Georgia. And I've had the opportunity to be out there several times in the last few weeks. And I just want to address, there were a lot of cop cars out there yesterday and several other times. I think they were chasing cattle yesterday out of the street. I just wanted to point out that sometimes they're out there for other reasons than just the kids. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak in rebuttal?
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Matichek, and I live at 125 Castleman Road. It's true, I don't live in this vicinity where he's talking about, but I do see the kids on the street that's needing the help. We don't have anything like this here. Look at our jails. They are much older. I would say most of those are in jail because of drugs. This is a good opportunity to help our young. If we don't help our young, who's going to? This is an excellent opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Down to a minute and a half. If not, we'll reset 5 minutes for rebuttal for the opposition.
I just ask that before you vote, just sit there and think, would you want this across from your house or back behind your house? You're talking about 14 to 17-year-old kids. There's teenagers. There's a girl that lives right outside, that right next to the driveway of where this is, a 15-year-old girl. I have a 15-year-old granddaughter that comes over to our house. I don't want her or anyone around there to be hurt or subjected to any kind of pain or suffering from someone that might have gotten out. That is my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in opposition for rebuttal? Seeing not, we'll waive the time. We'll look for a motion from the board.
I'll make the motion to approve with the following stipulations that were sent over from the meeting last night. To create an electronic fence with cameras, laser motion detectors around the building, armed and secured doors, and a secured front gate. Erect a privacy fence wherever there would be visibility to neighbors, especially with the neighbor in the back, which was Joan Collins. Discussed that with you last night. To install an automated telephone messaging system to alert the neighbors in the unlikely event that a student does walk off. Include several neighbors on the community advisory board. Provide community service projects to the neighbors by the students, supervised by WestCare staff. All students will attend their in-house schools, not in our Carroll County school system. They'll maintain staffing patterns to ensure 24/7 monitoring of students.
I second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to clarify the one point that these students, they're not criminal backgrounds or anything at all. They just have an addiction problem. Okay.
And out of good faith, Commissioner Morgan is always wonderful to follow up. I just want to make sure the privacy fence that Ms. Joan Collins is taking care of, that you'll help make sure that this, absolutely. With that, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is consideration of owner and applicant James J. Waldrop and Eric Collins' request for a conditional use permit and variance to divide 2 acres from a 108-acre parcel to build a new home on Parlin Lane Road, Villa Rica. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
We'll call on the applicant.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Holland. I am seeking 2 acres to be apportioned off of 108 acres. This is my mother, Deborah Holland, on behalf of my grandfather, Jack Waldrop, the property owner. Seeking the property to put a single-family residence on. Seeking the property to put a single-family residence on. That's it.
Looking for a conditional use here. Mr. Holland, anyone else here in favor for this?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll ask on item 11.6, anyone in opposition of a conditional use that's being requested. Item 11.6, any opposition? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion from the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none from the board, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all very much.
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is consideration of owner and applicant Ann Jennings Life Estate and Elvin Benegas' request for a conditional use permit to operate a car repair shop in an agricultural district at 905 and 909 Horsley Mill Road, Carrollton. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, if this item looks familiar to you, this item was before the board in October of 2015 with a different applicant, and since we have a different applicant, we had to have that back before the Planning Commission and the board for consideration.
What was the results?
The board voted to approve
it.
Mr. McCready's request, which was the October 2015 request.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
Well, we call on the applicant.
Hello, my name is Elvin Vanegas. I live in 125 Addison Avenue. I'm here already explaining all the whole situation. It used to be another auto repair in the same location, and I'm just here for the result.
Okay. Anyone else here representing in favor for the applicant?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Leighton Alston, 1484 Gray Road, Roopville, Georgia. I'm here only because of supporting these gentlemen. One of his employees worked for me for 7 years, his uncle, and will be working for him. There's a lack of understanding, I think, of this process among these folks, and that this has been done time and time again. I moved here in 1970, and this was Jennings Auto Shop. It was later driver dump trucks. It's been several auto shops since then, and these folks have paid rent already for over 2 months and unable to use it because of this zoning. And I would encourage you to support these folks in a business for some good local folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here in favor of this request? Seeing none, we'll stop the time. We're going to ask, is there anybody in opposition of item 11.7, the conditional use permit that's being requested? We'll ask a second time. Anybody in opposition to conditional use under 11.7? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion from the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Or is there one?
We're still not, yeah.
Oh, is there one more?
Yes, sir.
Oh, ready to get out of here.
Yes, sir. The last item that we have is consideration for owner and applicant Roy D. and Joan Ernest's request for a rezoning from agriculture to commercial for 8.01 acres, more or less, at 3500 North Highway 27. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. It also has a recommendation of approval from the staff.
Thank you, Artagas.
Yes, sir.
We'll call on the applicant.
Mike Mashburn, Metro West Realty, 850 Cedar Street. Thank you for y'all's time. I represent Roy and Joan Ernest. They own, excuse me, they own the property and live in Atlanta. They are just, looking to sell the property. The buyer is J&M Auctions. The property fronts 27. There's 1,500 plus feet of road frontage. It connects to a commercial piece, which is the old Souls building. Their purpose is to auction off small and heavy equipment. He owns auction sites in Rome, Villa Rica, and South Carolina. The property plans to be a fenced site, a new building, separate entrance and exit,